one of the few liberal coastal elites who has never actually lived in California, but that doesn't mean I don't care what happens there or what happens to its almost 40 million residents, which is why I, even as a New Yorker, have some serious choice words for the current state of the California gubernatorial primary. California has a unique nonpartisan primary system where the two top vote getters advance to the November general election. And because no amount of snappy tweets can get Governor Newsom to be allowed to run for a third term, Democrats are looking for a candidate that can keep the governor's office blue. Unfortunately, there are basically 100 Democrats running currently who think they are the future chosen one. Look. I love civic engagement. It's nice to volunteer for something. It's important. Except when so many people volunteer that you are currently splitting the vote so much in polling that the two top vote getters in current polls are actually Republicans. Why are Democrats so bad at this? It is time to circle the wagons, folks. Egos, put them away. Don't make me come over there and tell this to your face. Oh, I love your coastal weather. Actually, I really love it there. This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest this week is actress, author, and maybe the only Californian not running for governor, Gina Gershon, whose new book, AlphaPussy, is so funny and so captivating. You're going to love it. And while I have you here, take a look at the spring dates for my How to Survive Menopause tour, now up on SamanthaBee.com. Until then, take a listen and make good choices. I'm so excited to be talking to you. I swear to Jesus Christ.
I'm excited to be talking to you.
I feel like you are this is me totally projecting onto you, but I do feel like I see in you, and when I read your books, I go, oh, I think you're a voracious reader. I think you're a big reader. Like, do you take comfort in books?
Yes. I have to say though, I haven't been reading as much, but I've been doing audio. So does that count?
It does count. I hit my like read count with like 3 minutes of an audiobook. It doesn't feel right. But I love an audiobook.
I love I started doing audio. When a few years ago, like when I would just hike or walk or, instead of listening to podcasts all the time, at a certain point, I'm like, I can't just keep listening to the news or these horrible stories. And then I found it very helpful when I was to direct something because when you read it, you see it, but somehow when I'm listening to it, it just helped me think, I could shoot it this way. I could shoot it this way. Like, that's the great thing about reading. You could visualize it the way you want to visualize it.
Yes.
And it's got to be a good narrator. If it's not a good narrator, it's really annoying.
It has to be a very good narrator. And it has to be like, there is an art to producing an audiobook in the right way. And I don't think that I understand the particulars of what makes a great audiobook but partially narrator and partially kind of like the cadence of it or how, I don't know, there's something to it. I think your book is great. I think your new book is great.
I'm so happy you liked it.
Oh my God. You have had I think you have had one of the most interesting careers that I've ever read about. Like, it has been a wild ride.
It hasn't been very conventional, that's for sure.
It hasn't, but it's like the perfect career to read about, and you're the perfect narrator of your own life. It's so fun. It's really fun. We're going to talk all about it. I do need to ask you about the book about your cat, because I love cats so much. And how many cats do you have?
At Louis, as he just walked by. Come here, Lou. He won't listen to me. My 30-pound cat. He's huge.
Oh my God. I want to see him so badly.
I can run and get him if you want. I'll see if I can do it. Do you want
I kind of do. I love a cat that's the size of a turkey.
He gets a little grumpy. Yeah. This is like
Sure.
this is my nap time.
Yeah, he's
Wait a
like,
second.
what? Get out.
Blue.
Hi, Lou. Hi, Lou. Oh my God, he's so pretty.
Isn't he handsome?
He's so handsome.
Look at this belly. Wait. Ugh. I mean, it's really hard to hold him.
He's a Thanksgiving turkey. He's a literal
He's
Thanksgiving
bigger than a turkey.
Bigger than a turkey.
I'd get him a good price at the market.
Wow.
I know. He gained 2 pounds. He's only supposed to be, he was 28. I'm like, oh my God. And then they're like, he's 30. I'm like, don't fat shame my cat. But he's really long. You know, he's a very
tall.
hard African, so he's tall.
He's got that little head on top of that massive frame. He can hold, you know what? He holds it well. He carries it well.
Thank you.
Well, we had the experience. We had the experience recently where, and I had told my family for years that I was like, my actual dream is to have just a cat walk up our laneway and into our home, and it happened.
That's the best way.
It was incredible. He found us.
And they choose you. I think cats should choose you.
They choose you. And so I'm excited to talk to a fellow cat person, and we really could talk about cats for a really long time.
You need to read my How I Found My Pussy and Lost My Mind book. Because it's literally the story of, not Louie, my last cat, Cleo.
Yes.
It's the story of, I had this lame ass assistant when I was gone, take him to a dog groomer's. Why? Okay. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then he jumped out of the car. And for 2 months, I searched the streets of LA looking for my cat. And it's literally the true story, basically, of everything that happened. And it's my life sometimes is really crazy. And so I was like, I can't make this shit up. And then I did a music show, like a one-woman show, because I had written music. And I thought, it's all about, what people do for true love. And I thought, I'll attach the story of my lost cat, of Cleo, because it was so insane.
Yeah.
I thought I should people are like, you should write this as a script. I'm like, yeah, it is pretty nuts. So I said, I'll tell this story and marry the two, because thematically they were similar. And I'm so proud of my music. And then, of course, I get a book deal from it. I'm like, wait, what about my music? And they're like, can you write this as a book? I'm like, well, yeah, it's already written.
Right.
I mean, my whole thing is, I don't feel like when it comes to books, I'm not so much a writer. These last two, I'm just like a storyteller. I want to put it in my own voice, and like I'm telling a story,
Right.
Because if I really think, I'm going to write a book, I panic, because.
Yeah, of course. That feels huge. But like, okay.
Well, I just feel like I like Nabokov. I like Dostoevsky. You read James. I'm like, to write something like that would take me years and years and years. And honestly, I don't think. I'm getting better at it, but it's like I'm writing a script, I go into a different zone, but I don't know. I just want to tell a story the way I would tell a story.
Well, what was the genesis then for AlphaPussy? Like, how did you start? I mean, was it like stories that you told? Did it come out of stories you were already saying out loud? Were you performing them live?
No, I would say it came out of several different, it was very organic. I never go, I'm going to write a book, It came out of a few different things. The first being my friend, and who happens to be my book agent, who kind of, pushed me into writing the Cleo, the Cleo story, How I Found My Pussy story, Lost My Mind, my cat story. I don't know, we were just talking one night. We were out and drinking a little bit. And, I was saying, I need to make more money. I need to buy a beach house or something upstate or.
Yeah.
And then I did what I don't usually do, because I'm a fairly discreet person. But every now and then, if I'm with a good friend, I was like telling him some showgirl stories,
right.
Which I just don't talk about, because for a lot of reasons. And they're funny, because we're laughing. And the next morning he called me, he said, that beach house, your upstate house? He goes, you're literally sitting on it. He said, you write this, I could sell this for a lot of money. And I went, I don't know. I don't know. I'd rather write it in some fictitious sort of
sure
musical or something else, because I'm just not that. I really pride myself in being somewhat discreet, and I just don't want to add ugliness to the world.
Right.
But then COVID happened, and he was like, I'm locked in, and everyone was kind of miserable. He goes, just write me stories and send them to me as, I said, okay. So I thought, well, at one point I'm going to forget everything anyway,
Right.
So I would write stories. Some I had told people before, like the Prince story was a crowd favorite, and
Yeah.
the Little Miss Fun Time. I think there's things that I knew, but then really about showgirls. There was showgirls. There was some bound. And then once he started reading that, he said, I know how to sell this. He goes, I'm going to sell this. I'm putting this out, and we're going to get a lot of money for this.
Okay.
And which is tempting. But then right before he did, I said, don't put it out. I don't want to do this. I said, it's not my personality. I don't want to be one of those people. It feels icky. I said, there's a story. I said, there's a way to tell this in an interesting way. Then it turned into a story about my family, like the women in Las Vegas, because I had just done this story, Wild Women Don't Get the Blues at the Carlisle,
Right.
about my wild women who influenced my life, who happened to come from Vegas. So I was kind of dovetailing
Sure.
showgirls with real stories. And I thought, oh my God, I wish I was a better writer. I see how this could be done, but I'm not quite sure how to do it.
Okay.
And then life, then all of a sudden I got my day job. I got some movie, and so I put everything down. And then I did another, acting gig. And then at some point, I thought, well, I should just write stories that I'm going to forget. And then what happened was I was doing a lot of therapy for several reasons. Obviously, it was COVID. I was going out with this kind of idiot. But I kept thinking, there's a reason. What is the reason why? There's some connection. And then my mom got very sick. And so I have an amazing therapist that I talk about in the book. And she does this interesting work that you figure out where your belief systems come from. And through that, and through talking to my mom, stories started showing up. Like, what do you mean you were 6 months pregnant without me knowing I was there?
Yeah.
And then, and then weird stories from the Valley just started like creeping into my consciousness. But once that AlphaPussy, the story about, when the showgirls sing and raising my cats and what AlphaPussy means, when that came in, it kind of came blaring. And I went, oh, that's the story. That's what I'm going to hang all these other stories on. So I got rid of the stories that didn't fit into, like, if there wasn't a story about, navigating toxic waters or manipulating or getting into trouble, how do you get out of it? Also I found, and maybe it was like after, it's a different generation, as you know, like, and the younger generation, then they've been raised on kind of on the whole Me Too thing and a different set of rules. And I met this girl who was telling me about, she'd just gone to a spiritual retreat. And she was saying it was amazing, but then the guru, he was hitting on me and made me, it was so bad. And I'm partly like, dude, he's a guru. Like, what do you expect? Like, that's what they do.
That's what they do. That's why they become gurus.
Why become a guru if you
Yeah.
can't get a lot of stuff? Anyway, I didn't say that to her. I certainly thought it though. But because she was upset, and she said, I said, well, what did you do? She said, well, I told the director of the place, and I told some friends, and I told the girls, I said, you be careful of him. And I said, did you ever just go up to him and look him in the eye and say, hey, you're making me really uncomfortable? And she went, oh, no. Oh,
Interesting.
No, I could never do that. I was like, but why not? Like, look at you. You're so traumatized from it. Like, until you do that, you're going to be a victim to that circumstance. And she said, well, you know how to do that because you're tough. And somehow that triggered something too. I'm like, but I wasn't always tough, Right. You learn to be that. And then all of a sudden those seeds of the stories of growing up in the Valley and, crazy family members and made me be able to navigate, the toxic waters of the world of bullies and assholes and people trying to tell you what to do.
So
and,
the process of the book was like very long. Was long.
That was a really long answer.
No. It's a great answer. I really relate to that answer, and I just love how Sometimes it's funny because sometimes you do get offered money to do things, but if it's not right, like if it doesn't sit in your bones, you just have to find a path through it or not. Like it's 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 good to be able to walk away from things that aren't that aren't right for you. And the whole book is really like re- reveals those choices that you've made in your life. Like, can you talk about what an alpha pussy, what you mean by alpha pussy, because all those stories do hang on it so organically.
Well, listen, I also want to say, you mentioned, first of all, I don't judge anything. Like,
Yeah.
these are stories that are particular to me. It's not supposed to be a how-to book
Yeah.
or like
No.
how you run your life. I mean,
No.
even in the story of my dad, I was lucky. I had a dad who taught me the value of like, learn to make fuck you money. So at any point you could just say fuck you and leave. If you're not comfortable, you walk out, whatever the situation is. And
Yep.
that was invaluable,
It's great advice.
advice.
It's great
And he
advice.
also he also really taught me at an early age, when I thought, oh my God, he's going to say, no, you can't do that. You can't. He said, well, this is your decision. If you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. And if you're not comfortable with it, just say no and walk away. So I never had that rebellious thing of, ooh, I'm going to do this because my parents are getting mad.
Right.
My dad was like, these are decisions you need to make. I'll back you in whatever you want. And I trust you'll but just make it so you're comfortable.
Right.
And I've always been when I try to make a decision with my brain, it doesn't work so much. My decisions kind of come from my body telling me something, or an impulse that's really like instincts that are yelling in my ear, don't do this. So for how, I don't know, I developed that. And for some people, taking money for a job or whatever they do
Sure.
is, if it's good for them, then, and they own it, then whatever. I don't care. I don't judge anyone.
Yeah. No. No. Not at all. But
But
it
the
seems.
alpha pussy, let me tell you,
Yeah.
so the alpha pussy, I guess it was like a thing that I was doing anyway, just because well, I'll tell you what, when I got Showgirls, and I put this in the foreword, and I hope people read the foreword. That's why I added this little
Yeah.
tagline, like how boobs changed my life. I thought, maybe boobs will get them to read it.
Right.
Sometimes you don't really read the foreword, but the foreword's
Sure.
important because I
It's
wanted to
important.
explain. Yeah, I wanted to explain what alpha pussy was right off the bat. So I remember it really became apparent, when I got Showgirls, and, I was very excited. It was a big break for me. I'm like, ooh, wow, Paul Verhoeven, Joe Estrhaus. This is before I realized, wow, this is like not what I thought it was going to be. Because I thought it was going to be a very intense, incredible movie. I loved the part. It was a big break for me. I used to
Yeah.
be a dancer, so I was like, wow, this is fun. And as soon as it was announced, I'd go to a party, or I'd go, you go somewhere. And I had these like kind of sleazy, or just like maybe not so sleazy, then they seem sleazy, like executive types or agent types. They're just men. It wasn't a woman who ever did it. Like 4 times it happened, that they would just kind of look blatantly at my boobs, right, and down my body, and be like, "Oh, so I hear you're doing Showgirls," and I
Yeah.
found myself like, yeah, Paul Verhoeven. He's a very intense. His Dutch films are so incredible, like Spetters, and I'm like intellectualizing and crossing my arms and backing away.
Yeah.
And about the 4th time, I thought, why am I doing this? This is so weird. Like, I'm feeling so uncomfortable. And why am I trying to defend myself? And then I thought of my cats. Louis, well, he came in later. Oh my God, he was a big one. And Cleo, about the cat. I've only really had 3 cats in my life:
Okay.
Kaluki, Cleo, and Louis. Like, that were totally mine.
Yeah.
All male cats, all off the street.
Okay.
Kind of slightly feral, maybe. And the thing, you're a cat person, and the thing about raising little cats. We've had girl cats in the family, but I always had boy cats because I liked them better. And I thought, but the thing is, if they're a little feral, they'll wreak havoc. They'll rip everything up. They'll attack your head. They'll scratch the shit out of you.
Yeah. They'll
So
try to dominate you. Like instinctively, they try to dominate you. They're
it's just part of their nature.
yeah.
So I devised this little game that I would play with them. And I've done it with like wild wolves. I've done it with other animals too. I swear to God. But cat was kind of the where it first came up. And so I would stare at the kitty. The kitty would stare at me. These kitties are like this big at this time, right?
Right.
But we would stare at each other and stare at each other, stare at each other. And I would stay really calm. And I'm telling you, if I looked away, they would attack me.
Yeah.
Like literally jump on my head.
Yes.
So you cannot break eye contact. Stare, calm, until finally they go, and they roll on their back.
Right.
And therefore, I've become the AlphaPussy, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, like I'm the dominant figure, and I'm, no longer their little bitch, basically.
You're no longer their bride.
I know, yes, exactly. No, but like all of a sudden, like I'm the alpha here. So, and from there, then you can train them. If not, they'll ruin your whole house.
Oh, yeah.
So the next time one of these, guys came up to me and they said, "Oh yeah, so showgirls," I just looked him right in the eye. I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "I'm kissing guys, I'm kissing girls, I'm dancing naked. It's gonna be so much fun." And I was really calm and really nice, but I kept that intense eye contact as I would my cat. And I'm telling you, after a few seconds, the guy went, "Oh yeah, that's cool," and he backed away. And I thought, that's everything. And I realized I've done it in so many different ways at different parts of my life without realizing it, but it's key, And
Right.
who had such I'm so into her, had a supreme AlphaPussy moment the other day, and she's just a hero, really. Have you been following that Giselle Pellico, the story?
Oh.
Right? I mean, the worst of the worst.
Just speaking of audiobooks, that's one that I downloaded, and I'm just like, it's just sitting
really?
there.
I just bought her book. I just bought the actual books. I thought I was going to read it on the plane.
Yeah.
But there's a moment, I don't know, I think it was in the New York, maybe on the Daily, or no, it was a New York Times story. It was some story where she was talking, and there was this fantastic moment when, obviously after this horrible thing, and she finds out everything, and they're going to go to court. And of course, everyone, because, since she was the victim of all this horrific, rape and abuse and all this stuff, that of course it's going to be a closed courtroom. And when they asked her, and yes, would you like a private? She said, "No, I'd like it to be public." Yeah. And everyone kind of, especially the men who had, raped her, were like, "Wait, what?" They're like, are you sure? Yes. She goes, "What do I have to be ashamed about? Yeah. I have no shame. They are the ones who have to be ashamed." And there was the moment where this one guy was about to go on the stand, one of the guys who had sex with her, and he was just staring her. She goes, and he was looking at me. I'm paraphrasing, and forgive my French accent. It's early in the morning, but he's like, she goes, he was staring at me, trying to intimidate me. I don't know. So I looked at him right back. I stared at him, and I did not look away. And finally, he looked away. He said, "Because I have no shame. He is the one who should be ashamed." And that's that AlphaPussy moment, like in a nutshell. And I'm like, oh, she's so great.
Yes.
And she's living her life. She's not letting that control her. I'm sure it helped that she was completely out of it and doesn't remember, didn't get traumatized by memories of it actually happening, but whatever. It's the worst story ever.
Yeah, it's the worst story. It's such a powerful moment. It's such a, every time I hear that story, I get chills all up and down my back. It's unbelievable. But I see what you're saying, and it's just that moment of like not backing down. But
I mean, that's a huge example of it,
It is.
Listen, that's mine. I mean, because that is like, wow, that is intense. But that moment crystallized what being an AlphaPussy is to me.
Yes.
In small, and it's also could happen in small ways. I'm sure throughout your career, it's not just a sexual thing. It's when people saying, "Oh, you need to do this," and I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. Like, that doesn't sit right. Well, we can't represent you then if you don't do what we're telling you. And I'm like, all right, I guess you won't represent me.
Yeah.
You know,
There are so many occasions like that in your book. Like, I mean, the movie Bound, I mean, that was a big movie for me when it came out. It's a great movie.
yeah, it's a
You're
great movie.
incredible in it. It's a great movie. And having your agents, I mean, your agents were like, we can't rep you if you do this.
Yeah.
We can't rep you if you do this content. We just won't. And you were like, okay, I guess you're not for me. It's hard.
Well, I said, why? I mean, it's not, because they're like, showgirls, it's going to be huge and we got to make you I mean, their intention was good. They're like, we want to make you a big star. Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching.
Yes.
Right? That's what they're thinking. And I remember saying, I need to get something right now because showgirls is not going to be what people think it's going to be. Like, I need to show that I'm an actress right now because I don't know what's going to,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
And when Bound, I'd never read a part like that. It's like, oh my God, the typical guy is the hero. And I'm like, wait, I can play this part? This is so cool. And they were like, oh, first time directors, lesbians. And I'm like, first of all, these first time directors, I'm telling you right now, are motherfuckers. They're really talented. I could just tell they were so talented. The
The
Wachowskis and
Wachowskis.
pre-Matrix.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, what's so wrong about being a lesbian? I'm like, I said, so she likes women. Who cares?
Who
It's
cares?
about trust. It's about this. I get the guy. And they're like, no, 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 it'll ruin your career. And that really, I said, why? Because I'd seen men play,
Yeah.
lovers, and they were just like, no, 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 it'll definitely destroy your career. And that felt so wrong to me. And I just said, well, I think that's a dumb reason. I'm going to do it. Like, I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Listen, they might have had a point because I certainly got offered, sometimes Hollywood, as you know, is very,
It's fickle. It's a fickle mistress.
it's fickle, but it's also for a business that's supposed to be about storytelling and imagination and acting. They're
Yes.
very like whatever you played, like, oh, that's what she is.
Yes. Very
So between like Bound and
pigeonholy.
Showgirls, people thought I was like some, motorcycle wielding man killing.
Yeah.
They meet me and I'm just like kind of more nerdy and like this.
Right.
They're like, So
Yes. It's very
anyway,
pigeonholy and also very much like I feel like people do kind of outside the business tend to forget that it is a business.
yeah.
Like it is a business. It is the business of also making money, making art. So if there's like the slightest suspicion that the art will cause money to stop flowing.
And I appreciate that. I just never really
Hmm.
think that way, for better
Right.
or worse. Listen, I wish
Right.
I was one of those actors like made millions and millions of dollars a movie. Like
Sure.
I wouldn't like hate that. That would be nice. But you know, like everything else, if it doesn't feel right in my gut in
Yeah.
some reason, even if it's just, I just won't. I don't think I'll be good at it. I just feel
Right.
like I don't know where to. I've got to connect in some deeper level, I
Right.
think.
Right. You have a very high quality inner voice. Like a very strong inner guide, and I really enjoyed reading about it. I mean, your Prince story is your Prince story is incredible.
Yeah, it's nuts, right?
It's so nuts that he so when you went, okay, so you go and you meet Prince and you have a spectacular time with him, and then he said, and that, can you tell the listeners what he wanted from you? That
When he wanted to remake
he
me.
wanted to remake you.
Oh yeah. I mean, so listen, it starts off, the whole thing is so crazy. I'm listening to Purple Rain in his purple limousine while the
Yeah.
rain is coming down. And I'm like, what is happening? I mean, it's so brilliant. And obviously he's so brilliant, right?
Oh yeah.
Shy, kind of cool, and after a while we really start getting along, dancing and kind of singing and, just having fun. But the
Yeah.
whole time, of course, he's figuring out, wow, can she be the person in this movie?
Yes. And I
And
get the
then
sense that
it's,
he's like watching you too. He's like
of course,
analyzing you.
fair.
Yeah.
That's what I'm there for. He's
Yeah.
trying to cast a film. And then at some point, just something I think in his head, he went, okay, I know how to make this work. And he's looking at me. And I'd never had anyone look at me like that. Just really not, it wasn't seductive.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like looking at like my veins and my bloodstream and my molecules and kind of rearranging them in his head. New haircut. Wait, may I put her in this? And I'm like, what? And he went, I think I'm going to call you Gheena. And I'm like Gina Gershon? He's like, no, just Gheena. And I'm like, huh. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want to be fucking called Gheena the rest of life. It's like, I know, just don't say that right now. It's like let's just, and it was like, and I tried not to laugh, of course. I was like, oh, yeah. You know, but I'm like, there's no way I want to be called Gheena the rest of my life. And then that wasn't the only reason, but that
Sure.
definitely, there's a theme of that I tried, I don't know if I successfully did it, but like I tried to lace throughout, with invisible ropes. And like, I don't like it when people try to control me. That felt like, that's obviously, as we know now, that's for better or worse. Like he's great at that. That's what he does. He takes a thing and he knows how to make an image out of it.
Yep.
Which, for some people it really works.
Yeah.
For me, it's not my thing.
To have just to be represented by one word, one sound, Gheena.
Hey, Gina. Yes. I mean, and ironically now, some of my friends do call me Gina. They call me other names too, but that's one. My friend's like, wait, I started calling you that before. I said, maybe. I don't remember. It was the whole thing.
The whole
and
thing.
Honestly, when I read the script, I didn't love the part. I was like, his part's cool. His music school time. Wow, that's music school. Like, do you remember her songs? I don't so much. And I don't remember. And the parts, and I just thought, oh, I don't want to do that for my first
I will
part.
say that I definitely remember the sex scene because I sat in a drive-in with my mom watching, like we saw it at the drive-in, and I'm still traumatized.
Well, I'll tell you, when I got to the sex scene, because I'd never really read a movie script before. I was still in college, It was just my second year. And it was so explicit.
Yes.
He takes her, he flips her over. And I was just like, what? Like, I thought, I didn't realize that you could probably change it. I thought exactly what happened,
Right.
what you read is what happened. And that was really, I'm like, oh, I don't want to have that be my first thing.
Right.
It just kind of was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yes, I'm glad for you. I'm appreciative of that
You think
because
you made the right choice?
I think you made the right choice because I literally can conjure that exact memory as we sit here today, so many years later.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been the same thing because I know me. I would have been like, feels lame. I don't want to do this. Let's do something else.
Right.
I'm sad I didn't get to play music with him because I wish I could have stayed an extra few days because, he was a musical genius. That's for sure.
For sure.
But
And
whatever.
he didn't stay in touch with you. You didn't develop any type of friendship out of that, or
No, he was pissed when I told him, I said, I have to
pissed.
go. Thank you very
Controlling.
much. I'm going to do your movie. And he's like, stay a few days. I'm like, I have a play to do. He's like, why
Right.
don't you get an understudy? I'm like, it's NYU. It's a black box theater. Like, there's no understudies. But I felt very dedicated. I thought I couldn't let the rest of the actors down.
No.
And he was like, just tell him you're not going to come. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. You have to drive me to the airport now. And so, no, we didn't really say. I think he didn't like that.
You know what? That's a real AlphaPussy moment right there. That's
Yeah, that
really,
was.
yeah, that
It
really, really is. And you do talk about, like, I guess maybe halfway through the book, you talk about how, because you do reference Showgirls a lot, but in some ways you say in a little piece of it that so many stories that came out of Showgirls really just kind of illustrate the theme of being an alpha pussy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, like as I said, the seed of this whole book started because my agent was like, write your Showgirls book.
Yeah.
Because I could write a very long book about that.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of scenes that happened, and not all of them. Most of them were kind of like, whoa, like this is crazy. So once I figured out what this was going to be, I took a lot of those. I took not a lot, but several scenes out that they're fun scenes and they're interesting scenes, but I don't know. I just think the world, as it was getting weirder and weirder, I don't want to bring anyone down. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. It's just not my personality. It's just, I don't want to, do anything salacious just to get like a hit, or just to sell a book. It just feels cheap and icky. So I took a lot of things out, but there were stories in there that I think more than any movie, and it kind of set me up for a lot of things later. It illustrated, as an actress, what to do for me. Like I had to learn, like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this thing intact when it was so, like there was a lot. I mean, we were fighting every single day, me and the director. And as much as I really, listen, I saw him 20 years ago and he said, thank you for being so discreet about everything. I said, sure. But so I am fairly being discreet, but and there's a couple stories in there that, I just think I think are fairly harmless, but, but they're important to me. The whole story about when he said, oh, today we're going to show your vagina. I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh my God. Boop, boop, boop. But also I thought it was an interesting way to show how, when that girl said, oh, you're not just born like tough, like that experience of, being at NYU and then taking the train late at night and being confronted with people on the subway, then that helped me get through that showgirls moment. Right. So every even weird, uncomfortable, obviously weird moments in your life, they somehow can help you later on. And working with Verhoeven, it was great. I don't think I wrote, because then later I did William Friedkin's movie, who I just now the late William Friedkin, such a brilliant director, but not easy to work with. We started out great, and at the end, I was like, thank God I worked with Verhoeven, because now I know how to navigate this and just,
Right.
And like I said, after the film, we just, it was a big love fest because I love working with you so much, and but it was He's tricky. He was famously, infamously tricky.
It's additionally tricky to be to be sparring on the set of a film, sparring on the set of something when everybody is there are so many people working toward this goal. There are so many people present. Everybody's waiting. It is uncomfortable to speak your truth in those situations for a lot of people.
Well, yeah. And, you have two things going on, right? To me, if I'm working on a part, like the number one thing is the part. Like that's what I'm there for. That's what I'm being paid for. That's why I'm there to create something. So it kind of becomes your little baby that you're creating. And you really, I've worked hard on it, and I really want to achieve, the most I can, what the writer wrote. And so then when all of a sudden that's being threatened for whatever the reasons are, and for egos or for, strange stuff, I get really fierce. It's almost like you have to protect your little creation, and then you almost become the mama bear of your own. But then how do you do that without blowing up the set, or without, if you have a volatile director to begin with, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to get in another fight. A lot of directors, they like working that way, I remember Friedkin, he said, he was kind of methody, and he said, hey, do you want me to like smack you before this scene? I'm like, please don't. Please do not do that. But like, that's the world he came in. He was just like, we can get you there. I'm like, I'll get there myself. I'm really good at that. Like, don't do that, because I just won't. You know what I mean? It's just, everyone has a weird method. I honestly, I prefer not to work with directors like that, because I just, as you know, it's crazy enough in a production on this TV set. I just want things calm, and I want to be able to work the
Yeah.
most efficient way possible.
Yeah, to tap into all the work you've already done, which you've like
Yeah,
built something. You're there in the service of the story. Because
right.
even when you're working with someone who's like, "Do you want me to hit you in the face before the scene?" You're still working with somebody who thinks that you need to be hit in the face to get a good performance. So it takes many forms,
Yeah, it was
right?
really like, I like, are you joking? Maybe, it was kind of like, no. But listen, there's some actresses who'd be like, yeah, yeah, give me
Sure.
just, jolt me into this.
Right.
And I'm like, I've studied this for a long time. I think I can get there on my own. Thanks.
I'm
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm gonna take
You know,
I'll take a countdown for myself.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. You
I'll hit myself
I'll hit myself inside my brain.
inside. Yes, I'm good.
I do love how you talk about LA and the valley of your childhood. It really is like kind of the other main character of the book.
Yeah.
It's really funny to think of how free range things were at that time.
Be home before dinner. I'm like 6 years old walking. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. I grew up in Toronto. It was the same thing. It was just like, take the subway, bye. Like taking
yeah.
three transportation methods to get to school at the age of 7, just
Oh my
with
God.
like commuters.
At 7. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart.
Just other commuters, but it was like that. Did you ever see that? It was like a Japanese TV series with just little kids doing adult things.
No.
How much responsibility is conferred to little children in Japanese culture. I didn't really know anything about it before.
Uh,
Just they were commuting at 4.
that's crazy. Well, they're very smart and ahead of their time. I've seen like little videos when like it was a cute little Japanese kid coming home and like making his pasta and making all this dinner. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know how to do that at 4 or something,
Oh,
like very efficient and very
hmm,
self-sufficient.
yes,
But it was a different time. Listen, I the helicopter parent obviously hadn't been born yet, but
sure,
and we didn't and when I was growing up there, I mean, it was really like the porn industry just started really like
yeah,
being intense. But the thing about predators and rapists and assholes, I mean, they've always been there and they'll always be there. Right now, we're starting to like maybe go, oh, wait a second, this exists.
yeah,
Oh, this really exists like on a big level,
yeah.
but they're always there. It's just, it's been hidden so long. And I think they'll always still be there, even hopefully it blows up and there's accountability and, things
Yeah,
like that
we
would be
definitely
amazing.
we want accountability for things. When you were a little kid, you saw someone holding their penis. I had the exact same experience in Toronto. Just like people
You
would walk
did?
around streaking. They would just like walk into children's play yards with their penises hanging out of their pants, and it's it's so funny. I'm a parent now, and I think. But nobody had any reaction to that then. They were like, we're like, the penis man's in the schoolyard again. And everyone was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a freak.
Yeah. Look at that weird thing. It's so funny. He's like an elephant kind of, but not really. You think about it like what's so interesting? It's like looking at all these stories when I was younger, and of course, when I'm yelling his penis when the police came and I had to say, and my brother and sister laughing, they thought it was so funny,
Right.
and I had to act kind of tough, but so many stories in the valley, like when the bully came and like made me like sneak him in the theater and like
Right.
moments like that. When I had to show my chest and I didn't, there were like, there's weird moments that I had to play off being very cool, even like punching the guy in the face, who
Right.
infiltrated my fort. Because I was just so furious. You do it I did it in a survival way. I didn't really think about it. It wasn't until I started really diving into it that I realized, oh my God, I was like traumatized by all this stuff. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it
Right.
had an energy to it. And like at the end of writing a story, I would be so exhausted because I would kind of live through
Right.
it in a way of feeling everything that I didn't allow myself to feel. I just kind of buried stuff when I was younger.
Right.
So at some point, the Valley stuff just started showing up in this process. And it got it. So my publisher at some point because I just started sending him all these stories. He's like, so are you writing coming of age as a young girl in the Valley? Is that what this is? Because
Right.
all of a sudden it was completely top heavy. I mean, it was just, no pun intended.
Sure.
And I thought, well, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I will. I always thought I could write, oh, I was a teenage Valley girl. But then I thought, oh, there's these other stories. What am I going to do with them? And I figured out a way. I'm like, okay, just put it in 3 parts. Like I could do it
Right.
that way.
I feel
But
I feel like you
yeah,
have several more books in you. Do you
I know
think?
I
I mean,
do.
I think
I
you
just need
really
to write a
do.
screenplay. I'm in the middle of finishing a screenplay because I do want to act again.
Okay.
It's kind of so much easier. Like right now, I'm selling the book, and like, I
Yeah.
mean, writing, I like it. Actually, I don't like it. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I like it when it comes out, and it's. I would really appreciate like acting now because it's just so in my bones. And sometimes I do one thing, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of missed that thing over there.
Right.
I couldn't just write. I would become a total hermit and so antisocial. Like I'm just starting to go out in the world again after being completely like this.
Right.
So
Well, it's like dynamic variance. You know what I mean? You can do
yeah,
one thing for a little while, then you need to flex a different muscle.
yes.
Do you have directing projects kind of coming up?
I don't have a directing project right now. I finished after COVID. I finished a script, the Japanese Jewish rom com we've all been waiting for, but it's actually really good. So I have to focus on setting that up. I was toying with the idea of maybe directing that, but I think it's too big. There's better. I'm not
Okay.
there as a director yet. I could do small psychological,
Okay.
intimate things, but I don't want to be in it because I get so focused on what I'm doing. I think I'd get annoyed if someone was doing my hair and I'm like, like, just
Right.
fine, let's do this.
Right, right, right.
And then there's a movie I'm finishing now that I really want to do because it's kind of timely. But it's such a big part for I'm not finding amazing parts that are being offered to me. So I figured like, well, I guess I just have to write them. So
I
that's
think you
why
just have, I actually think that you just have to write them for yourself.
I
And
guess I have to write them and then just push them through. But I would love to direct again. I just think these 2 things that I'm working on now, I'd love a really great director to
okay.
direct me in it just so I could totally focus. I don't know what happened to me. Like, I think COVID changed my brain. I can't tell if it's COVID or older age,
In what
but
sense?
I used to be able to multitask
Okay.
and I can't anymore. Like if I'm writing, I just have to sink in and only do that. If I'm acting, I could only do that. If I'm painting, I could only do, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I used to be like, oh, I'm going to like act a little bit, then I'll write. All I'm going to do, I'm going to sing tonight as well. And something happened that I can't, maybe it's good. I don't know. It's just, I could only focus on one thing at a
You know
time.
what? It's probably good. I'm going to say that it's good because you
Yeah.
can get, you're giving yourself fully to something in a way that, and the outcome is like, and the outcome flourishes. Like sometimes you're really watering the roots of that one thing. And
Well, I'm not, I've realized this about myself. I'm not, I like to percolate, So if I'm thinking about just one thing, right? Even if I'm not at the table writing, like as I'm walking down the street, just all of a sudden I'll see images or things will come into play. Like you're always kind of
yes,
unconsciously working on something. And a lot of like the Valley stuff, it just like an image would come to me. I'm like, oh, wow.
right.
Oh, I remember that story. At the school and this. And I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. And then I would just sink in that and really remember it. But if you're not like open to your unconscious, like a lot of stuff comes organically. So I just have to be open and it's like the percolating period, I call it.
Yeah, I get that. It's like sometimes when you're driving, your brain bifurcates in a way that's really
Yeah.
like you end up writing a lot of notes to yourself and having a lot of creativity
Right.
by just focusing on one task actually unlocks
Yeah.
some other part of the creative mind. I don't know.
That's the best part about being in LA to me when I was there. Driving
Driving.
is a good time to let things. I'm sure it did a lot of your like writing when you were doing
So
stand.
much. Yeah, so
So
much. Like I'm constantly I using like Siri texting myself
yeah,
sentences.
yeah.
You
Oh
know,
my God! Thank God for voice memos.
thank
I do
God. Whew.
I would forget everything. I'd be like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And then
I know. Listen, I want to thank you for talking to me today. I think your book is great. Well, happy launch, happy ongoing book tour, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
That was Gina Gershon, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. We were talking about how we love audiobooks, and I had to know when the first audiobook came out. Well, they definitely weren't listening to it on their phone, but technically the first full recorded novel was Joseph Conrad's Typhoon, which came out as a set of 4 records in 1935. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee, and we will see you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me, Samantha Bee. The show is produced by Svea Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Ryan Connor. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.